Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is JiNan Glasgow George. JiNan Glasgow George, CEO of Magic Number, is recognized worldwide for her expertise in intellectual property. She has spoken about IP in front of the UN Economic Commission for Europe and has been featured speaker at IP conferences in India, Italy, France, South Africa, Mexico, United Arab Emirates, Ghana, as well as New York City, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Research Triangle Park in the USA. As an inventor, entrepreneur, patent attorney, and former USPTO patent examiner, JiNan's background gives her the ability to see intellectual property from the corporate, legal services, and government perspectives, a unique personal perspective not common in this industry. Well, good afternoon, JiNan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. This is awesome. Love jumping up in the morning and just running after these podcasts. This is amazing. And JiNan, I've checked out your profile. It's pretty cool, pretty amazing. Not your traditional tech CEO, so to speak, but we're going to jump into the questions and get going to share with our audience the amazing journey you've had thus far. So JiNan, again, quite the background in law as a patent attorney, entrepreneur, and now you're the CEO for Magic Number. Could you share with our audience what drives you and what has contributed to your success?
Sure. Thanks so much for asking. Well, I think the main driver in my life is that I believe we're all created in God's image and likeness and have the power to create. I'm about creation, creativity, and the work that I've done first as an engineer, creating new products, and then as a patent attorney, helping other people create assets for their technology has also evolved now into using data to help with defining strategy and identifying opportunities for companies of any size or individuals who want to invent and create. So it's that creativity that's the driver for me.
That's awesome. And that's, typically guests on the show talk about their curiosity, creativity, and ultimately helping, their fellow colleague or just helping people in general is really kind of the message that I'm getting through many of the guests here. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure. It's kind of amazing that we don't spend more time paying attention to our own ideas, because that's really the one true unlimited resource from which we can create assets indefinitely. It's a pretty exciting if you think about it. So ideation and creativity, I think, are just essential. And it'd be great if everybody talked about it a little bit more.
Absolutely. You're spot on with that. So thanks for sharing, JiNan. And JiNan, we're going to talk about the pandemic a little bit. Hopefully this will lift soon, but everybody globally has had to shift, pivot to adapt to this new normal. Could you share with us what you're doing to help your organization stay relevant in this economy?
Sure. It's interesting, but in some ways we're made a little more relevant because there are a lot of problems that were introduced into our world very suddenly. And yet those are each of them kind of an invitation to solve problems. So many of the companies that we work with pivoted themselves, and that pivot and those adaptations resulted in new inventive solutions to problems, which is essentially what patents are. And because our software works with patent data and looking at trends, we could quickly look at how other companies have solved similar problems in the past. Of course, this pandemic has been unprecedented in many ways, but in more ways, we saw growth with other companies, more inquiries about development of new products, and not just biomedical devices either, but also in protective equipment, apparel. We saw inventions that just related to things like mobile power and the fact that people are working at home. It's really kind of spread across a lot of areas. And what we noticed is most of our customers with the patent forecast software from Magic Number, and most of my law firm clients at NeoIP actually experienced great growth last year in 2020 during the pandemic because they were driven by addressing these problems. So In a lot of ways, it's this the challenge, the adversity that really kind of pulls us into looking at solutions. And, that's exciting. So in a lot of ways, we had to adapt by hiring. We hired new people as analysts. We hired new attorneys. And we actually had an overflowing pool of interns, students from college for the summer. And it was great to have everyone in a safe and healthy way working together in our office. The need to connect in person, of course, always exists, and we were able to navigate that safely. And I'm thankful for that.
Amazing. Again, the human spirit is just stronger than anything, in my opinion. And a lot
Amen.
of people I've heard over 250 stories in the last year of colleagues like yourself, JiNan, that pulled together, got the team together, and it was challenging, but they came through with flying colors. So thank you. And JiNan, are you leveraging any new or emerging technologies within your business? Anything you might be able to share with our audience today?
Sure. Well, Magic Numbers patent forecast software, early on as we began to develop and design that, I've worked with analytics software in the patent application area for almost 18 years. So Magic Number kind of for us was a pivot on that. And what we felt like emergent technology that was required was to start to leverage machine learning and AI where we could, to help us go beyond the pattern recognition, to go beyond the data analytics that we were doing in perhaps a more mixed manual way. And it's actually, it lets the people on the team leverage their time and resources to do that kind of analytical heavy lifting, which is, kind of what they were created to do. So I would say the development of artificial intelligence applications, where there's more efficient sorting through large amounts of data, where there's better pattern recognition through machine learning as well. Those have been our key technologies that we've sort of pulled that lever on, if you will.
That's awesome. This is the most, I would say, interesting and exciting part of the podcast for a lot of our guests, including myself, as I'm a technologist by trade. So thanks for sharing that. And again, at the end of the day, we're trying to help our fellow human and our businesses thrive. So thanks again, JiNan. And JiNan, last question. Can you share something from your career experience that might be helpful for those looking to grow their career in tech, entrepreneurship, or maybe even, law?
Sure, absolutely. So I guess I would say one of the things that always motivated me was interest in reading and learning new things. So, while I mentioned I began my career as an engineer in new product development and research and development, I had always felt motivated to return to school to do more learning. And I ended up determining patent law was the direction to expand my scope or breadth of technology exposure. And what I learned along the way there is that patent data is such a huge and underappreciated source of teaching information. Every single patent document is an inventive solution to a problem. So reading patents, while it can seem perhaps a little tedious, if you have a way to review them, look at, kind of high level patterns, and then dive in depth to select few, you can really become kind of more cutting edge expert in any field of your interest, whether it's supply chain management, whether it's Internet of Things technology or edge computing, whether it's AI for biomedical diagnostics, whether it's things that apply to the epidemic pandemic. The data exists. There's millions and millions of points that provide for what at the time were best solutions to those problems. So I learned about what a wealth of information this is. And each one's a story, tells the story of the inventors. So I would say don't overlook things that are right in front of you. I also had kind of the epiphany of using that data to help improve my client positions for law, and realize, of course, with the story, it's really about the person, about the individual, as much as it is about the technology. So the way that I was structured working with clients was not to charge them an hourly rate, but just focus on results, right? So when you combine all of that together, I guess it's like be informed, be engaged, and work together, collaborate to make positive impact in the world. I still love it every day, so I guess it's working.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You should be, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to have a certain passion. I mean, you must have passion for what you're doing, but also, the fact that, again, when you're giving back or helping others is when there's just self-fulfillment there. And so that's amazing. So thank you. And JiNan,
Sure.
I just want to let you know, it was a pleasure having you on today. And I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Bye for now.